Welcome to roomMaster 2000 Setup Tutorial. This video will review all the basics of configuring roomMaster 2000, from entering your room types and room numbers to setting up your accounting information. While this video is very informative, to receive the greatest benefit of your property management system investment, take advantage of Inquest Software's on-site training. One of our trainers, all with extensive hospitality experience, will coordinate with you and your staff to create a training program that specifically meets your needs. For more information, contact your local Inquest Software representative. In a little over 1 hour, this video will walk you through how to input your property specifications in roomMaster 2000. Not every category will be covered in complete detail, but at the end of the video, you will be ready for business. Most of the configuration of roomMaster 2000 is completed from Setup on the File menu bar. Clicking once will display a drop-down menu that includes Configuration, as well as Rates Management, Rebuild Forecast, User Profiles, and Menu Profiles. Click on Configuration and a window will appear. The column on the left displays the categories for configuring roomMaster 2000. Each will be reviewed in turn, but let's start with the General category. The General category is where your registration information is located and should be the first thing completed when starting to configure roomMaster 2000. Only one copy of roomMaster 2000 is to be registered per site. To register your software, input the registration information received from your Inquest Software representative. The name and address must be input exactly as they are on the registration form you received. Do not substitute an ampersand for an and, or change any spelling. If the information needs to be changed, please contact your Inquest Software representative. Your property name and address will appear as they are entered here on your sign-in sheets, folios, and city ledger statements, so it is important that it is correct. The phone and fax, and email and web fields are free-form fields that can be changed as needed. The last field on the General screen is the registration code. Enter the registration code from your registration form here. Enter it exactly as it is on the registration form you received. Your roomMaster 2000 is now registered and ready to be configured. It is important to create a sign-on for each member of your staff in roomMaster 2000, regardless of the size of your property. User profiles and menu profiles are where this is completed. Menu profiles are used to define access to the different areas of roomMaster 2000 for groups of employees. User profiles allows you to narrow access to features and configure the functionality of each specific staff member. We'll start with menu profiles, then review user profiles, and then walk through inputting a new user. Click on Setup, then Menu Profiles. The left pane displays the default menu classes. The Menu Options pane allows you to define what each menu class has access to. Basically, this is a listing of the File menu bar and the menus included for each item. To edit a menu option for a menu class, highlight the menu class, then the item to be changed, and click Enable or Disable accordingly. Menu classes can be created from scratch by clicking New and typing in a name. Press OK, then highlight the new menu class. All menu options are turned on by default. Disable those you do not want staff members of this menu class to have access to. Many times it is easier to use the Copy feature and edit an existing menu class. Simply highlight the class and click Copy. Type in a new name and then edit the menu options. To create user profiles for your staff members, click on Setup, then User Profiles. Click Insert. We will review each tab, then set up a new user. On the General tab, complete the fields with the appropriate information. Then review the defaults for the sign-in options and check the boxes you want. Click the drop-down box for the To-Do items startup options. To-Do items can either be not displayed at startup, show only this user's items, or show all items for all users. On the Access tab, select the Accounting Security level. The Manager level allows full access to all the features of roomMaster 2000. Notice when Manager level is selected, the menu class is grayed out. There has to be one user set as a manager for roomMaster 2000 to work properly. Owners, general managers, or the person responsible for maintaining and configuring roomMaster 2000 should be set at the Manager level. Manager level users can also restrict access to configuring roomMaster 2000 for supervisor level users. Click on Setup, then Configuration, then Security. Check the boxes for the categories you do not want the supervisor level users to have access to. Other workstation-specific display and security options can be set from this category also. The supervisor level can have full or restricted configuration access through the security category as described previously. It can also be restricted through the menu class. Using the security category and menu class, the supervisor level can have as much or as little access to roomMaster 2000 as you want. The clerk and auditor levels have access to the normal functions of roomMaster 2000, with the auditors having access to completing the day-end close and backups. Menu class, as described previously, allows you to restrict access for users to items on the File menu bar. It is very important that a menu class be selected for clerk, auditor, and supervisor level users. If the menu class is set at All Access, the users will have full access to all configuration functions. A menu class column is included on the User Profiles window, allowing you to easily confirm proper access has been given to each user. The items in the left column of the Special Permissions section allow the user to perform the listed functions. Checking the items in the right column will prevent the user from performing those tasks. The Report Access tab displays a list of the report categories. Uncheck the box of the category you do not want the user to have access to. Checking Disable Ability to PDF reports will allow the user to only print a report, not save them as a PDF. The Personal tab is where you can enter contact information for the user. Notes is a free-form field to enter any other information. IQ Anywhere is a remote access add-on from Inquest software that allows certain users access to roomMaster 2000 from remote devices such as PDAs, tablets, or smartphones. The property must also have roommaster.net to use this feature. Assuming a manager-level user has already been input, let's add the user profile for the Assistant Front Office Manager. Start on the General tab and type in the user's initials and password, then their full name and position. Select the sign-in options. For an Assistant Front Office Manager, select Show All To-Do items, since they would probably want to know what needs to be completed by the staff for the day. On the Access tab, select the Supervisor level, and for the menu class, select Assistant Managers. Again, it is important to select a menu class for all users to allow the appropriate access for the responsibilities. We will allow this user to do voids for today, but not for previous days. They can also create quick reports, but we do not want them changing the backup directory. Since this property has the IQ Schedule add-on, we will allow the user to change IQ Schedule events. In the right column, we want to prevent them from changing rates, so we will check these boxes in the column. But we will allow them to use the Checkout Hold feature. We will also allow them all access to assigning rooms. They will have full access to reports and be able to PDF reports. Complete their personal information and make any notes that you want. Since this property has the IQ Anywhere add-on, the appropriate boxes have been selected for this user. OK is pressed to complete the user entry. Repeat these steps for all your users, selecting the appropriate options for your clerks, auditors, and supervisors. Make sure the proper accounting security level and menu class options are selected to ensure proper access and restrictions are set. At this point, let's review the password function in roomMaster 2000. Click on Setup, then Configuration, then System. The options for password security and PCI Use Level 2 security are selected by default. To maintain PCI compliance, both options must remain on at all times. When selected, each user must enter a password to sign on, and each user sign-on is recorded in the roomMaster 2000 event log. Also, passwords for users must be 6 or more characters and contain numbers and letters. For PCI compliance, users' passwords must be changed every 90 days. roomMaster 2000 will prompt the user when the password needs to be changed. Also, as part of PCI compliance, if a user enters an incorrect password 6 times in a row, they will be locked out of roomMaster 2000. The user can be unlocked by running the audit pre-check, or a supervisor can uncheck the Profile Disabled option on the user's profile. Entering your rooms begins with entering room types from the Reservations category. Start by clicking on Setup, then Configuration, and selecting the Reservations category. Then click on Room Types. roomMaster 2000 comes with 4 basic room types already entered. If these room types meet your needs, click on room numbers in the table of contents of this video to continue. To enter a new room type, click Insert. The room type can be up to 4 alphanumeric characters. Let's enter a room type called Deluxe Garden View and use DLX as the room type code. The room description will appear on any window that you choose a room type. Note the description is automatically copied into the confirmation description field. The entry in this field will appear in your confirmation letters and should give a broader description of the room for your guests. Room groups are a way to combine room types together for reporting purposes. They are configured in another location and will be reviewed later. Rate type is a way of combining room types that are charged the same rate. They will be reviewed in detail in the next section. The 2 checkboxes should be used for meeting rooms. Remove this type from general availability, will exclude this room type from forecasting and occupancy statistics, and do not include this type in all day and close and availability figures, will exclude this room type from all day and close, historical, and marketing reports. The maximum use restrictions is where you enter the maximum number of people allowed in a room. Keeping in mind, this maximum does not have to be the total for maximum adults plus maximum children. For example, for a room with a maximum occupancy of 6 people, enter 6 for max people, 5 for max children, and 6 for max adults. This allows for combinations from 6 adults to 1 adult and 5 children. The extended description is where you should put in a full description of the room type or any special characteristics. Your staff can use this to describe the room to potential guests, helping them to sell the room. Entering the file name of a picture of the room type will display the image on the room property screen. The picture file must be saved in the roomMaster 2000 directory for it to display. The minimum information required is the room type, description, confirmation description, and rate type. All other information can be input later if needed. Repeat this process until all your room types are entered. If the defaulted room types are not going to be used, simply highlight them and click Delete to remove them one at a time. The import and export options allow you to export the room types from roomMaster 2000 and then import them into roomMaster 2000 at another property. Owners and management companies can use this feature to quickly configure new roomMaster 2000 properties based on established properties. See the online help for details on using these options. Rate types allows you to combine multiple room types that are charged the same rate. For example, a smoking deluxe garden view room and a non-smoking deluxe garden view room are the same price, so they would be set to the same rate type, DLX in our example. Configuring this information here makes setting up rate codes just that much easier. Creating room groups allows you to further classify your room types for reporting and tracking purposes. For example, let's put all deluxe garden view rooms and all superior rooms in one group called Standard, and all suites and penthouses in another group called Suites. To do this, click the Room Groups button and type Standard in Field 1 of the Room Groups window, and Suites in Field 2. To attach a room type to a group, highlight the room type and click Change. For our Deluxe Garden View and Superior rooms, select Group 1. Note the name of the room group appears. For the Suites and Penthouses, select Group 2. Reports can now be run by room group that will break down the information by standard rooms and suite rooms. Room numbers are added by clicking on Setup, then Configuration, then selecting the Reservations category. Select the Room Numbers button, then click Insert. The room number can be up to 6 alphanumeric characters. Let's enter room number 701 and make it a Deluxe Garden View room by selecting DLX from the drop-down box next to Room Type. The description is a field to describe any special characteristics or features for this particular room, and will appear on the Room Properties window. Attributes can be used to enter internal codes to match keys with room numbers, or it can be used to give the staff more information about that specific room. Notice roomMaster 2000 automatically entered the same number for the phone extension as the room number. If the phone extension is different, make the change here. It is important to have this correct when using roomMaster 2000 with the External Posting Interface add-on. The data extension can be a data port in the guest room or a second phone extension. Connect Rooms is where you designate any connecting rooms to this room. For example, if room 701 and 703 connect to each other, type 703 in the Connect Room field for room 701, and 701 in the Connect Room field for room 703. If your property does not change sheets every day the room is cleaned, the number of days between changing sheets can be designated here. When used, whether or not to change sheets will be included in the housekeeping reports. The number of minutes it takes to clean this room as a stayover or a checkout can be entered in these fields. With this information, roomMaster 2000 has the ability to divide housekeeping reports by time instead of by rooms. Checking the Ignore On reports when stayover or when checkout will exclude the room number from the housekeeping reports when the room is either a stayover or checkout respectively. In roomMaster 2000, you can schedule certain maintenance items, such as changing air filters, to be created automatically during the night audit process. Checking the skip tracking maintenance items will not create automatic maintenance items for this room. If the rooms at your property have owners, enter their information by clicking the Owner Information tab and type in the name and address of the owner. The Instructions field is for any special instructions relating to the owner. If your owners get commissions, it can be set as a percentage of revenue or a flat amount per statement. For commission based on percentage of revenue, type in the percentage in the percent amount field, and from the drop-down menu, select percent of revenue. A flat amount is a commission amount contracted with the owner to be paid per statement. Type the dollar amount to be paid in the percent amount field, and use the drop-down box to select flat amount. If the hotel charges the owners a fee for housekeeping, enter the amount here, and use the drop-down box for whether the change is per stay, per night, or per week. As a reminder, Clicking on the Help button within a screen will link you directly to that topic in the online help. Pressing the F1 key or clicking Help and then Contents will also display the online help. The online help is a great source of information to assist you in configuring roomMaster 2000. Information covered to this point includes entering your registration code, employees' profiles, and your room types and room numbers. Go ahead and take a short break, even just to get up and stretch for a moment, or take some time and enter your room types and room numbers before continuing. If you need to review any section of this video, simply click on the item in the table of contents, and the video will begin playing at that location. When you are ready to continue, click on the link in the video to learn how to enter rates into roomMaster 2000. Configuring your room rates starts with clicking on Setup, then Configuration. Select the Reservations category, then click on the Rate Information button. The first time the Rates Management option is selected, a prompt window will appear asking if you would like to have roomMaster 2000 set up rate records for your room types. Select Yes, and roomMaster 2000 will create a rate code of rack for each rate type defined in your room types. Only daily rates will be created. The Rate Information window will appear, showing a complementary rate code for all rate types and a rack rate code for each rate type. If you click No, the same window will appear and only the complementary rate code will have been created. Regardless if roomMaster 2000 did the initial rate code setup, the first step to entering any other rates is to define the rate code. Click on the Setup Rate Codes button, then click Insert. Rate codes can be up to 4 characters, letters, numbers, or both. As an example, we will set up a rate code called Rack, which will be our standard daily rate for the room. The non-commission rate checkbox should be checked for any rates that travel agents do not receive a commission for. Check the Hide Rate on sign-in sheet for rates you do not want your guests to see on the sign-in sheet, such as Expedia. Checking the Hide on Availability screen option will prevent this rate code from being displayed in the drop-down menu, where you can select rates to display on the availability screen. The Rate Designation section is only available in the Enterprise and Premier editions, and is where you can configure derived rates. Since derived rates are based on established rate records, they will be reviewed after rate records have been entered. Yield management options are for roomMaster 2000's Premier Edition, and will be discussed later in this video. The Deposits tab is where you can set the deposit requirements for a rate code. The sample property requires 1 night's room and tax, so I will select First Night with Tax. This setting will also apply if this rate code is listed on roommaster.net or IQ World Link. Information entered in the Deposit Terms and Conditions section appears on the confirmation billing screen when a reservation is completed through roommaster.net. Selecting the Ignore Travel Agents option lets travel agents that log on to your roommaster.net website book reservations without a deposit requirement. The Restrictions tab allows you to set minimum and maximum night stays for any reservations using this rate code. Entries made in the top section apply to roomMaster 2000, while those in the lower section apply to roommaster.net and IQ World Link. The stay restrictions will be sent to any global distribution systems you are interfaced with through IQ World Link. The Close tab is only available in the Enterprise and Premier editions of roomMaster 2000. With it, you can close a specific rate for a certain period of time, like a holiday or during a special event. Click Insert and enter the date range you do not want the rate to be sold using the lower and higher date. The effective date is the date the rate closing goes into effect. For example, you might want to close a rate for the holidays, but allow the rate to be sold up until 3 months before the close dates to gain occupancy. For this example, enter December 21st as the lower date and January 2nd as the higher date, and enter September 21st as the effective date. This means the rate will be available to be sold up until September 20th for guests checking in within the closed date range. After September 21st, the rate is no longer available for new or old reservations. It is highly recommended to set the effective date to a date in the future, at least the next day's audit date, to not affect past reservations or any reservations that may be made later that day. Select which Inquest products the rate should be closed for: normal bookings, meaning roomMaster 2000, roomMaster.net, or IQ WorldLink. The Notes area can be used to document information about the rate code, such as if a rate code is set up for a specific event. The GDS Channels tab identifies if the rate code is being sent through the IQ WorldLink interface. Information will not appear in this tab until after the rate code is established. Click OK to enter the rate code. Click Defaults for overridden rates to set the deposit requirements, stay restrictions, and enter any notes for rates that are overridden on a reservation. To edit an existing rate record, highlight it and click Change. To add a rate record, click Insert. Either will bring you to the General tab of the Rates Record screen. If you had roomMaster 2000 create rate codes for you, some of these fields will already be completed. Notice in the sample property, roomMaster 2000 has defaulted to having RAC as the rate code and DLX as the rate type. To change either of these, click on the drop-down box next to the field. Only DLX needs to be selected to configure the rates for deluxe garden view rooms, both smoking and non-smoking. Remember, multiple room types can use the same rate type, reducing the number of rate records required. Enter the from and to dates either by typing them in or using the calendar feature. Notice the rate codes can start prior to the current date and can go many years into the future. Usually rates are set for 1 year. The description should only give information about the rate, not the room type, since rate codes can apply to different room types. Rack rate is always available, so all days are checked in the Available to Use section. If you want to set a rate code that is only available specific days, say Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, only have those days checked. In the Charge Type section, daily charge is the default, but rates can be set to charge at different time increments or as a package. For more information on configuring other charge types, please review the online help in roomMaster 2000. The EPI phone rate defaults to 1, charging the regular phone rate for any guest reservation using this rate code. Settings 2 and 3 can be figured to charge a discounted rate. So for a business rate or a frequent stay rate, you can select the discounted phone rate. This feature is only available when using roomMaster 2000 with the external posting interface. Our example rate will remain at the default. The revenue account defaults to room taxable. If a rate code is created that would not be taxed, click the drop-down box to change the revenue account to room non-taxable or room full exempt. For our example, we will leave this at the default. The room rates are input on the Amounts tab. roomMaster 2000 allows you to configure rates for different days of the week, usually grouped by weekdays and weekends. Let's take a moment to review this feature. Weekends and weekdays are configured by clicking on Setup, Configuration, System, and Days of the Week Setup. In this screen, you can check the days of the week you want to be your weekend days and label them how you want. roomMaster 2000 defaults are Friday and Saturday as weekend days, and weekday and weekend as the default labels. Now let's set up rates for our example hotel, where a deluxe garden view room is $199 for a weekday and $219 for a weekend day, regardless of the number of adults. Enter the amounts in the fields beneath the one adult column as shown and press the F2 key. Pressing F2 will copy the information from the one adult column to the rest of the columns. To set up rates to charge different amounts depending on the number of adults, you can use the F3 or F4 keys as described, or manually change the 2 adult, 3 adult, and 4 adult fields. For our example, let's charge $35 more for each adult over 2. So for 4 adults on a weekday, the price is $269, and for a weekend day, $289. Do not leave any of these fields blank. roomMaster 2000 chooses the rate based on the rate code and the number of adults on the reservation. If the corresponding field is blank, no room rate will be charged. The extra adult column is the extra charge for every adult over 4 staying in the room. So if you allow more than 4 adults in a room, like a 2-bedroom suite, you would put the extra charge here. As an example, let's charge $25 per extra adult, regardless of weekday or weekend. If 6 adults are in the room, $50 would be added to the rate. Extra child is how much is charged for children. You can define how many children can stay free in the number of children allowed before charging field. As shown, the first 2 children are free, and there's a $15 charge for each child after the first 2. Again, both for weekdays and weekends. If there is no charge for children, leave both extra child fields blank. If you would like to charge a different amount for an extra adult or an extra child on the weekend, simply enter that amount in the appropriate field. Checking the box for 1A and 1C equals 2 adults tells roomMaster 2000 to charge any reservation with 1 adult and 1 child using this particular rate code, the 2 adult rate. The Discounts tab allows you to set a specific discount on a rate, either as a flat amount or a percentage. This is a great way to set up discounted rates like AAA or AARP. Although you would not want to set a discount on your rack rate, let's do 2 quick examples to get the idea of it. First example. You want a special rate that gives a 10% discount off the room rate for each day a guest stays over 3 days. Apply discount as percentage after minimum stay would be checked. 10 is typed in the percent amount field, and discount starts on day would be 4. So for a 5-day stay, the guest would pay the regular rate for the first 3 days and get 10% off on days 4 and 5. Notice it does not matter what day the guest checks in. For the second example, let's say the guest gets $50 off every other day of their stay if they check in on Monday or Tuesday. So apply discount as amount on every certain day is checked. Type 50 in the percent amount field and 2 in the discount starts on days. Also, uncheck all the days except Monday and Tuesday. These are just examples of how to use roomMaster 2000's discount feature. If you have the Enterprise or Premier editions, discount rates that do not have any stay restrictions should be configured using derived rates. For our rack rate, we will just leave the defaults. In the Exceptions tab, you can increase or decrease your rates by a percentage or a specific amount for a specific period within the dates established on the General tab of the rate. Let's say we want to increase our rack rate $100 for Thanksgiving week due to the anticipated demand. Use the drop-down box in the Starting On field to bring up the calendar and select the Sunday before Thanksgiving and double-click on the date. Do the same thing for the Ending On field, selecting the Sunday after Thanksgiving. Click on the drop-down arrow in the Increase/Decrease column. The increase and decrease options are flat amounts, where increase percentage and decrease percentage will change the rate amount by a percentage. The number in the amount field is the price amount or the percentage of change. The example shown will increase the rate by $100 for that specific week. Up to 9 rate exceptions can be set per rate record, making it great to use to change rates for holidays, special event time frames, or, if your rates change depending on the time of year, setting up seasonal rates. Simply make the starting on and ending on dates your rate change dates. The example shows exceptions for spring, summer, and fall seasons, leaving the amount from the Amounts tab as the winter rate. Click OK to enter the rate record. Once a rate record is entered, it can be copied and edited to create another new rate record, avoiding having to enter the same information over and over again. In our example, let's create a rack rate code record for the Superior rooms. Highlight the rack rate record for DLX and click Copy. Click the drop-down box for rate type and select SUP. Leave everything else the same and only change the amounts. Notice the exceptions are also copied. Click OK to enter the rate record. Yield Management is a feature in roomMaster 2000's Premier Edition. It allows you to configure your rates to automatically change based upon occupancy levels, maximizing your room rates during high occupancy and discounting room rates to increase occupancy during slower periods. For more information on the Premier Edition and Yield Management, refer to the online help or contact your Inquest software representative for information on purchasing the Premier Edition. The Derived Rate feature is only available in the Enterprise and Premier editions of roomMaster 2000. A derived rate is a rate code that uses the amounts from the rate record of another rate code to determine its amounts. Rate codes that are always a percentage or amount higher or lower than a base rate should be configured using the Derived Rate feature. For example, your internet rate is always 15% less than your rack rate. To configure this, click on Set Up Rate Codes in the Rate Information screen and then Insert. Enter INT for the rate code and internet rate for the description. Select the non-commission rate, hide rate on sign-in sheet, and hide on availability screen options if they are applicable for the internet rate at your property. Check the Derived Rate option and enter rack in the Derived Rate Code field. Then select the percent rounded option. For the adjustments fields, enter -15 and press the Tab button. This will enter the same adjustment amount in each field. While the Derived Rate feature is available in the Enterprise and Premier Edition, the Yield Management options are only available in the Premier Edition. For Premier users, the Yield Management option selected for the base rate will automatically be applied to the Derived Rate code. In this example, the rack rate is being yielded, so the internet rate is also. Select Rate is a discounted rate if you want your internet rate to be the same as your rack rate once a certain occupancy percentage is reached. Again, the Yield Management options are only for Premier Edition users. Contact your local Inquest sales representative for information on purchasing the Premier Edition. The rate amounts for the internet rate are determined by the rate records of the rack rate, so no internet rate records need to be entered, and no rate records for the internet rate code are displayed. To change rates, change the rate amounts of the base rate code, and the derived rate code amounts are changed automatically. There are two rules to keep in mind when configuring derived rates. 1. You cannot derive a rate from a previously derived rate. In other words, you cannot take the internet rate code established in the previous example and use it as the base rate for another derived rate, like AAA. 2. The charge type on the rate records of the base rate will be applied to the derived rate. Since rack rate is a daily rate, the internet rate is a daily rate. You cannot derive a weekly rate from a daily rate code. Instead, you would create a weekly rack rate code, perhaps WEEK, and enter rate records for it, then derive an internet weekly rate code. The roomMaster 2000 Hold Type feature is where you designate what types of guarantees you will accept to hold a reservation. Hold codes are based on hold types. The 5 hold types are card, deposit, city ledger, other, and none. The hold type tells the hold code what information will be required to guarantee a reservation and what information is required at check-in. A card hold type requires a valid credit card number and an expiration date for the reservation or walk-in to be completed. Deposit means a deposit has been or will be received prior to the guest arrival. If no deposit has been posted, the reservation will appear on the deposits due report. A City Ledger hold type requires a valid City Ledger account code on the reservation before it can be completed. The other hold type means the reservation is guaranteed, even though no form of payment has been given. A none hold type means the reservation is not guaranteed. To configure hold types, go to Setup, Configuration, Reservations, and press Hold Types. roomMaster 2000 comes with 9 hold codes that should meet most properties' requirements. They are listed here with the hold type associated with them. To add a hold type, click Insert, and the Add Hold Code window will appear. As an example, let's add a hold code for non-guaranteed reservations that will be held until 6 p.m. The hold code is limited to 4 characters, and the description should explain the hold type's meaning. Click the drop-down box and select the hold type that applies to your new hold code. For this example, the hold type is none, since the reservations are not guaranteed. Hold types can be exported from one roomMaster 2000 to another using the import and export options. See the online help for more details. The sign-in sheet in roomMaster 2000 can be customized to your property. To do this, click on Sign-in Sheet Setup in the Reservations category. On the General tab, standard items on the form can be turned off by unchecking the appropriate box. The Extra Field section gives a place to obtain 4 different pieces of information from your guest at check-in. For example, if you want pet information from the guest, choose one of the fields and type in pet information. If you print to a color printer, the title shade color can be changed to a color of your choice using Override Shade Color. Other options is where you can set the top margin of the sign-in sheet. The header field has 4 options. Do Not Print will not print a registration header. Print Registration Header will print the room number if assigned, stay dates, rates, and guest name in the upper left-hand corner of the sign-in sheet. Print room number horizontally or print room number vertically will print only the room number horizontally or vertically at the top of the sign-in sheet. If no room number is assigned, nothing will print for these 2 options. The different header options allow you to print the room number so it is easy to see when placed in your bucket at the front desk. By checking any of the Hide Stay Total or Rate Information options, the rate and stay totals will not print on the sign-in sheet for reservations with travel agents, charged to a direct bill account, or that are part of a group respectively. This feature works well for any prepaid guests that are not supposed to see their rate, like Expedia or Priceline. Click the Message button and a window appears where you can put in a message to be printed on each sign-in sheet. Any hotel policies for pets or smoking, or a disclaimer of liability can be included with the message. This is a free-form field, and the icons can be used to format and add emphasis to your message. Languages allows you to translate the title fields on the sign-in sheet to your guest's preferred language. Refer to the online help for more information on configuring these translations. To print your logo on the sign-in sheet, paste a file containing the logo in the roomMaster 2000 directory. Click the Logo Image tab and check the Print Logo on Sign-in Sheet box. In the Image File Name field, type the exact name of the file, including the extension, that was placed in the roomMaster 2000 directory. Check the Hide Company Name line if the name of the property is part of your logo. Use the top left corner and image size sections to place your logo where you want it. The sign-in sheet displayed was printed using the settings just reviewed. Each arrow shows what would be missing if any of the sheet option checkboxes are unchecked. Here is where the extra fields information is printed, and since the Create Two Signature Lines was checked, two signature lines are printed on the sign-in sheet. The message is printed here. The logo image was inserted here. The Hide Company Name line is checked, since the logo includes the name of the property. As always, more information can be found by pressing F1 or clicking on the Help button. To help speed the reservation process, roomMaster 2000 lets you set defaults for when a new reservation is started, reducing the information to be entered manually. Each of these items should be set to the most common reservation that is made. For our sample hotel, DLX is the most common room type, and most reservations are made for 3 nights for 2 adults. RAC is the rate code we want to sell, and most guests use their credit card to guarantee their reservation. Walk-in hours is the number of hours prior to check-in for a reservation to be considered a reservation and not a walk-in. If this option is set at 4, any reservation that is checked in within 4 hours of the time the reservation is made will be considered a walk-in on managerial reports. Entering check-in and check-out times will prompt the clerk to post any extra charge for guests arriving early or staying past the regular checkout time. Availability days is the number of days to appear in the availability screen. The standard is 2 years, as shown, but it can be up to 4 years. The forecast needs to be rebuilt if this number is changed. Max nights is where you can restrict the number of nights a reservation can be made for or the duration of a guest stay. Entering a number here, for example 30, will not allow any reservations or stays to be more than 30 days. In some areas, stays longer than 30 days have tax and legal ramifications that properties would like to restrict. Leave the setting at 0 if you do not want to set a maximum number of nights. In Options, check the 2 Auto-Assign Next Available Room options if you want roomMaster 2000 to assign the next available room based on the auto-location configuration for both reservations and walk-ins. The room will be assigned during the check-in process. Reservations with rooms pre-assigned are not affected. Leaving them unchecked will assign rooms in room number order. Default the reservation and check-in screens to override rate is best used when your rates are very flexible. Rates will have to be entered manually for each reservation if this is checked. Copy rate 1 to rate 2 when overriding rate will automatically copy the weekday rate to the weekend rate. Use this feature when overriding rates, and there is no difference in price for weekdays or weekends. Checking the prompt and reconfirm payment type at check-in will cause roomMaster 2000 to display a screen during the check-in process, confirming the guarantee information from the reservation. This must be checked if you are using a credit card processing module that is interfaced with roomMaster 2000. If apply rate changes during guest stay is checked, any changes made to a rate code will immediately affect in-house guests. Unchecked, the in-house guest rate would remain the same as at the time of check-in. Prompt to bill no-shows when canceling will cause a window to appear for the clerk when canceling a reservation due to arrive that day. The clerk has the option to just cancel the reservation or bill it as a no-show. Auto-override rate if rate information changes after booking means if the rate code on a reservation has changed amounts since the booking was made, roomMaster 2000 will always keep the original rate on the reservation as an override rate. Unchecked, a prompt window will appear the next time the reservation is opened after the rate code amount was changed. Package roll-up is moved into room amounts for total stay information means that any packages, special packages, or daily charge options that can be rolled into a single line entry on folios will display as part of the room amount on any screen or report that uses the room amount field. Check this box if your rates are mostly packages. Configuring and entering rates as well as hold types, the sign-in sheet, and reservation defaults and options have been covered in the last section. Now is a good time to get up and take another stretch. Remember, you can always pause the video or click on a topic in the table of contents to review it again. When you are ready to continue, click on the link on your screen. Custom fields are provided in roomMaster 2000 as a way to track information regarding your guests, on their reservations, and their guest profile. The lookup fields have labels that appear on the reservation and have predetermined values assigned to them. The custom freeform fields allow any information to be typed into the field. Both are configured in the User Fields category. The lookup fields are User Field 1 and 2. Market code and business source are hospitality industry standards and is why they are included as defaults. But anything can be set in the user fields and any valid values attached to them. Edit the labels for User Field 1 and 2 by typing over the description field. Clicking on Valid Values for User Field 1 will display the values included with roomMaster 2000. These values are included to assist you in tracking what market the reservation originated from. In other words, why the guest is at your property. For example, BG is Business Government. This value should be used for any reservations for a guest who is a government employee at the property on business. Clicking on Valid Values for User Field 2 displays the business source values. Business source being how the reservation was made. To continue our example, PHON would be the business source if the guest called the property to make the reservation. To add a valid value, click Insert and type in a new unique code of up to 4 characters. Then enter a description of the code. The import and export options allow you to easily export the valid values for user fields 1 and 2 and then import them into roomMaster 2000 at another property. Owners and management companies can use this feature to quickly configure new roomMaster 2000 properties based on established properties. See the online help for details on using these options. Default values can be set for both lookup fields by entering the value in the default field. So if the majority of your reservations are guests on business who call the hotel, make the default BO, Business Other, and PHON for phone. Leaving the defaults blank will prompt the clerk to enter a value. Configuring and using these codes when starting to use roomMaster 2000 will allow you to run reports in the future with information on why your guests are at your property and how they made their reservations. Valuable information when marketing your property. You can configure up to 6 custom freeform fields to add information to the guest reservation. roomMaster 2000 includes the 4 shown. As an example, let's say you offer shuttle service to and from the airport and want to document this on the reservation. In Custom Field 5, type in Shuttle Arrival, and in Custom Field 6, type in Shuttle Departure. When the reservation is made, either yes or no should be entered in the field to designate if the guest will need a ride from the airport. To make sure the shuttle arrival information is included on the reservation, check the box for Reservation Required. This means the reservation cannot be completed without something being typed into this custom freeform field. For shuttle departure, check the box for Folio Required to make sure this information is gathered at check-in. The guest will not be able to be checked in without something being typed into this custom freeform field. The Guest Ledger category is where you can configure all accounting-related information for roomMaster 2000. Go to Setup, Configuration, then click on Guest Ledger. The account code is the basic component for all the accounting completed in roomMaster 2000. Each account code has to be assigned to a category, account group, and an account subgroup. An account code can be assigned to a reroute group, sales center, and lodging indicator. Let's review these items, then come back and input a new account code. Category is the first component and tells roomMaster 2000 what this account code does. The categories are hard-coded and cannot be changed. For example, the local phone account code category is a charge since it is used to charge the guest for phone calls. Cash and credit card account codes would use the payment category, while paydouts and credit card refund account codes would use refunds. Just think of what the account code does and assign the appropriate category. Room revenue is a special kind of charge and should be used for all account codes posting the room charge to a room. Account groups and account subgroups are used to organize the account codes for reporting purposes. Account groups and subgroups can be customized to your property by clicking on the Account Groups button in the Guest Ledger category. roomMaster 2000 comes with the defaults shown. Clicking the Subgroup button next to each category shows the defaulted subgroups. Up to 9 subgroups can be created for each group. To add a subgroup, just type the title in an open location. For example, the sample property has bicycle and scooter rentals at the property, so we will make a subgroup of rentals for charges. If you change or remove any groups or subgroups, review the account codes that may have been attached to them and edit the group and subgroup for the account code. To see the account codes attached to each group and subgroup, click Account Codes, then on the Report Structure tab. Each account group, then subgroup, can be expanded to see which account codes are included in that subgroup. Reroute groups allows groups of account codes to be transferred from one folio to another, such as if a group wants to pay for a guest's room and food charges, but not for any other charges. To define the reroute groups, click on Reroute Groups in the Guest Ledger category. roomMaster 2000 defaults with those shown. The reroute descriptions can be changed by typing over them. Sales Centers allows you to track revenue received from groups, travel agents, and city ledger accounts and categorize it. During the night audit, roomMaster 2000 will review all the postings made and, using the Sales Centers, determine how much revenue was posted for each sales center for each folio associated with each group, each travel agent, or each city ledger account. Reports can be run to show how much room, phone, food, spa, and other revenue was generated by the group, travel agent, or city ledger account. To edit a sales center label, click on Sales Centers, then type over the entry you would like to change. For example, let's add rentals to the other center. As with account groups and subgroups, make changes to any account codes affected by the sales center change. If you do change the sales centers after using roomMaster 2000 for a time, you will need to rebuild the sales centers to reorganize the historical information with the newly edited sales centers. The lodging indicator must be assigned to any charge account if Shift4 or any other credit card processing program is used. The lodging indicator tells the credit card interface what type of charge the account code is and how it will appear on the guest credit card statement. The categories are standardized by the credit card industry. Inquest software cannot change them. Notice there is not a lodging category. Any account code without a specific lodging indicator is assumed to be a lodging account code. Now let's set up an account code for bicycle rentals for the sample property. Click on Account Codes in the Guest Ledger category and review the current account codes to determine what number would be available to use for the new account code. The included in roomMaster 2000 are grouped by the following standard. Since bicycle rentals is a charge, let's make it $150. To add the new account code, click Insert and type in 150 in the account code field. For description, we'll type in bicycle rental. The category in the account group would be charge. The account subgroup will be rentals that was added earlier. The reroute group will be spa, POS, other charges, since it is another charge. Select the Other Rentals Sales Center edited earlier, and for Lodging Indicator, select Other. In roomMaster 2000, an account code can either be a debit or a credit, but not both. Since this is a charge, select Debit Charge. Once the account code is created, the account type cannot be changed. The account code would need to be deleted and re-entered correctly. Access level would be clerk, since everybody should be able to post this charge. Change the access level when you want only certain employees to be able to use an account code. If you want only supervisors to be able to make adjustments, go through the adjustment account codes and change the access level to supervisor for each of them. The accounting package information is for exporting accounting information to an external software, such as QuickBooks or Peachtree. The Import-Export add-on is required to export this information. Click on the Tax Options tab to configure which taxes would apply to this account code. Let's take a moment to review how to configure taxes in roomMaster 2000. The tax account codes are 105 through 109. These account codes are hard-coded and cannot be changed to a different number. To configure the sales tax rate, highlight account code 105 and click Change. Change the description to more accurately describe the tax. Leave the reroute group in Sales Center as non-applicable. Taxes will reroute automatically with any account code they are attached to, and Sales Centers are for revenue accounts only. In our example, the sales tax rate is 7%. Click on the Tax Information tab and notice the tax type defaults to percent of amount. Clicking the drop-down box shows the other options available. Leave the tax type at percent of amount and type 7 in the tax amount for default rate. Do not type in 0.07. roomMaster 2000 will calculate the percentage. Leave the start date and end date fields blank. The alternate rate section allows you to configure a tax rate change that will happen in the future. For example, if the tax rate was going to increase from 7% to 10% on January 1st, in the alternate rate tax amount, enter 10. Again, roomMaster 2000 will calculate the percentage. Enter January 1st in the start date and leave the end date blank. With this configuration, all account codes with the sales tax option selected will have 7% tax charged for any postings until December 31st. On January 1st, the tax rate will automatically be changed to 10% for any account codes with the sales tax option selected. If there is a maximum tax amount, enter that number here. If you are exporting your accounting information to an external accounting software, the agency name field must be completed. Repeat the same steps as necessary to configure room bed tax, account code 106, and any other tax account codes. To apply the sales tax to the bicycle rentals, check the State Sales Tax box. The Other Options tab is where you can set the posting options, as well as the default amount to charge for the account code. For this example, I'll check the incidental charge option. The bicycle rentals are usually $20, so 20 is entered in the default amount. If they are never over $100, put 100 in the warning amount to prompt the clerk they are posting something over the high limit amount for the account code. Leave the Modify Default Amount checked to allow users to change the amount being posted. Checking Affect City Ledger tells roomMaster 2000 to post the opposite charge in the City Ledger for what is posted in the Guest Ledger for this account code. In other words, if you post a debit in the Guest Ledger with this account code, a credit will be posted in the City Ledger. If a specific ledger account is not defined, roomMaster 2000 will prompt the user to choose a company. Checking Use as Room Revenue Account tells roomMaster 2000 to count each time this account is posted per day. The total for the day appears on the Day and Close report. Since this is not a room revenue account, we will leave this unchecked. The Inventory Item tab allows you to attach this account code to an item to be sold at the property, like our bicycles, and keep track of how many are available. Check the box and type in a description. Enter the total amount of that item you have on the property. We'll enter 10 since there are 10 regular bicycles on property to rent. This information shows on the availability screen by room type, when completed. The Language tab will list a field for each language defined in the system, where you can input the translation for the account code description. Click OK, and the new account code is completed. One note on account codes 100 through 102. They are the room revenue accounts included with roomMaster 2000. Room taxable is the regular room charge account code that gets charged all applicable taxes. The default is to have sales tax and room bed tax checked. Room non-taxable should be used for guests exempt from sales tax, but still responsible for any room or bed tax applicable in your area. Room full exempt is for guests who should not be taxed at all. roomMaster 2000 allows you to configure subfolios for each guest in order to separate incidental charges from room charges. Click on Subfolio Options to configure the subfolios. The default is to have a master folio and a phone charge folio as shown. To add a subfolio, click in a blank field and type in the label you would want. Click on the Incidental button next to the subfolio to select where to post incidental charges. The incidental subfolio label defaults to red to give the clerks a visual cue for where to post incidentals. Click the button to select a different color. This will change the color of the lettering, not the subfolio tab. To have one subfolio, only have a label for folio A. You can edit this label, but do not leave it blank. The Only Create Additional Folios When Travel Agent or Direct Bill option will only create an additional subfolio if the reservation has a travel agent or a direct bill company master entered on the reservation. This way, an incidental folio will be created only if needed to separate room charges the guest should not see from the incidental charges they are responsible for. How to use the user fields, along with entering account codes, configuring your tax accounts, and the subfolio options were reviewed in the last section. This is a good time to take one last break. To review any of the previous sections, click on the topic in the table of contents. Click on the link on your screen when you are ready to continue. roomMaster 2000 allows you to customize your Dayend close to meet your needs. From the Guest Ledger category, click on Dayend Close Options. For the purpose of this video, the General tab and PDF options will be reviewed in this section. External calls, corporate reporting, exports, and with Premier, revenue management are advanced topics with detailed explanations in the online help. The left column of the General tab lists the different reports that can be printed automatically during the Dayend close. Standard Dayend close reports are checked as defaults. To add a report to print automatically with the Dayend, just check the appropriate box. The right column lists actions you may or may not want to be included in the Dayend close. Again, the defaults are checked. A functional description of each item is given in the online help. Review the information and decide if you want to have that action included by checking the appropriate box. In the PDF Options tab, you can configure roomMaster 2000 to automatically create and send a PDF of your audit pack. Check the box to create PDF of all audit reports after Dayend close. The PDF file name field, as defaulted, will save a copy to the PDF Reports folder inside the roomMaster 2000 directory. Checking the Append Audit Date after file name will add the audit date to the file name automatically. Reports created automatically before or after the audit date is changed can be excluded from the PDF audit pack. Check either before Dayend close or after Dayend close to exclude those reports from the audit pack. You can have the audit pack saved to a specific location rather than the PDF Reports folder in the roomMaster 2000 directory. For our example hotel, we want to save the audit pack to a folder on the server named Daily Reports and name the file Blue Lagoon Audit with the audit date attached. The screen as shown would do this where Hotel Server is the computer name of the server. There are two options for sending the audit pack. On the MAPI SMTP email tab, use the drop-down box to select if you want to send the audit pack or which method to use. Enter the email addresses the audit pack should be sent to in either the to address or the carbon copy CC address. Send using local email client uses the email client installed on the workstation, usually Outlook or Outlook Express, where the audit is completed. When the audit pack PDF is complete, an email pre-addressed to the email addresses entered will appear with the audit pack PDF as an attachment. The user can add information to the body of the email if desired, or just press send to forward the email. To use the SMTP option, the SMTP outgoing server needs to be configured in Setup, Configuration, System, Internet Settings. Contact your IT professional for assistance with configuring your SMTP server. The advantage of the SMTP option is the user is removed from the process and the audit pack is sent automatically. The FTP option can only be used if the receiver has an FTP server. Check the send box and complete the server address along with the user ID and password. See your computer administrator for this information. The audit pack will be sent automatically, again without any user intervention. The general section of the guest ledger category includes security and user options regarding posting in roomMaster 2000. Check zero balance at shift change ensures all transfer accounts have both a debit and credit to keep the system in balance. Do not allow voiding previous day zero balance accounts does exactly what it says, again to keep the system in balance. It is recommended to check this feature. Check do not allow move room if you have commissionable or owner's rooms. When a guest folio is moved from one room to another, roomMaster 2000 cannot track what transactions and information are meant for which room. Check the Do Not Autofill transaction type at checkout to not have the payment account code and amount autofill when clicking on the checkout button in the folio. Show Foreign Currency button on transaction screen puts a button to do currency conversions on the Add Transaction screen. Disable rerouting of charges for all users disables the rerouting option from a folio for all users. Disable moving of charges functionality from all users prevents charges from being moved from one folio to another. Checking the Disable Adjust wizard when user cannot void previous day's items will display an error message for any users who cannot void previous day's items. Check Warn User when checking out guest before checkout date will prompt the clerk the guest is leaving early. An early departure fee could be posted at this time. Show Tax Rollup on folio and journal screens is for properties using value-added tax or guest service tax taxes. Checking this option displays a tax rollup checkbox on the folio. When selected, a single line item that includes all taxes is displayed for each transaction. It is recommended to leave Do Not Auto Close Guest Folio display after 2 minutes of inactivity unchecked for security and access reasons. If a folio is open, no other user can view or post to it. Checking the Always Open Guest Folio display with guest notes will display the notes field each time a guest folio is opened, even if no notes have been entered. The optional checkbox is a user-defined field that can be used to designate a guest as VIP or special. A checkbox will appear on the room property screen of the folio. The audit date is the current business date for the property and is automatically changed to the next day when the Dayend close procedure completes. There are few instances where the audit date should be changed manually. However, regular audits are usually not run while configuring roomMaster 2000. Use the following procedure when your property is ready to go live and you need to bring the audit date up to the current calendar date. Complete an audit in roomMaster 2000 by clicking on Audit. Make sure there are no errors on the audit pre-check. If there are, resolve them before proceeding. Complete the Dayend close. This will ensure there are no journal transactions outstanding in the system. Now verify there are no guests checked in and there are no reservations for a date between the current audit date and the audit date to be set. Either cancel or change the check-in date for the reservations if there are. To change the audit date, go to Setup, Configuration, Guest Ledger, and click on the Change Audit Date button. Change the audit date to the current calendar date by typing it in or using the arrow keys. Then click OK. The only time this function should be used is when getting ready to go live with roomMaster 2000, or if you have a seasonal property that is closed for months at a time. Do not use this procedure to change the audit date if the Dayend close does not run correctly. It will have serious consequences on the accounting integrity of roomMaster 2000. Guest profiles are where roomMaster 2000 can retain history information for your guests. It is like an address book that can hold detailed personal information like their birthday, as well as their stay history and total dollars spent at your property. It can be a valuable tool for contacting and marketing to previous guests. In the History category, you can define how the guest profiles will be created, as well as determine how long reservation records and journal transaction records are saved by roomMaster 2000. To create guest profiles, check the Require Guest Profile record when creating reservations and when checking in guests. This will make sure a guest profile is attached to each new reservation or walk-in. Also check the Auto Create Guest Profile when saving a record with no suggestions to ensure a guest profile is created for each guest. Checking Auto Lookup Guest Profile when entering name on reservation and check-in form will have roomMaster 2000 search for a matching guest profile after the first and last name have been entered on a new reservation. To always use the rate established on a guest profile, check Skip Guest Profile Confirm Rate Update screen. roomMaster 2000 will automatically use the rate from the guest profile for the reservation. If this is unchecked, the clerk will be prompted whether to use the rate from the profile or the defaulted rate on the reservation. Check Do Not Copy Rate information when selecting Guest Profile to never have the rate copied from the guest profile to a new reservation. Do Not Save Reference Field information to Guest Profile should be checked if you are using this field for central reservation information. Check this box if you have the roommaster.net or IQ World Link add-ons. Checking Do Not Save More Than Address and Name to Guest Profile will only enter the guest name and address when the guest profile is created. Use this option to control the information on the profile and the information eventually entered on the guest's future reservations. For current users with guest profiles already established, use the Profile Cleaning tool to delete information in your guest profiles. Check the box of the field you want to remove and click Erase. Whatever is entered in the selected field will be eliminated from all guest profiles. There are two options in the History category to protect your guest credit card information. Do Not Save Credit Card Information to Guest Profile will not send the credit card information to the guest profile when checked. Checking Always Hide Credit Card Numbers and Log Access when displaying card numbers will hide the credit card numbers, even on reports, for all credit cards. It will also log any time a credit card number is accessed throughout roomMaster 2000. To maintain PCI compliance, both options must be checked at all times. roomMaster 2000 moves all guest folios to a history file after they check out. It is very easy to go back and review a guest folio from months or even years before. But to keep roomMaster 2000 working efficiently, reservation records and journal transaction records are removed from the system. The File History section allows you to determine how long to save this information. Reservation records are the reservations that have been made and can be saved from 1 day to 4 months from the day the guest checks out or the checkout date on a canceled reservation. The recommended reservation setting is 90 days, which is also the default. Journal transaction records are the daily postings in roomMaster 2000. For these records, the default setting is 365 days. Use the 0 equals unlimited option for journal records for the Premier Edition. This allows journal transactions to be saved indefinitely. roomMaster 2000 has 3 different formats for printing folios: Detail, Summary, and Group. Detail folios show the guest charges and payments transaction by transaction, where a summary folio shows the guest totals by account codes. The Group folio format presents the guest charges transaction by transaction and will separate each guest charges if multiple rooms are transferred to one room. This is the preferred printing format if one room is paying for multiple rooms. In the Folio Setup category, you can configure what type of folio can be printed and how transactions will appear on a printed folio. The Detail Folio Type section has 4 options. Normal layout including tax detail is the default. If your property uses value-added taxes, use Tax Roll-Up All Taxes or Tax Roll-Up Inclusive VAT GST only. The external option allows you to create your own detail folio format using a report writer, such as Clarion or Crystal Reports. The summary folio type can be set as normal layout with fonts or simple layout with no special fonts. This is the same folio with the 2 different options. Checking Allow Summary and Group Folios will give the user a prompt screen to choose which kind of folio they would like to print. Unchecked, only detail folios can be printed. Ignore voids when printing folios will not print any voids on the folio. This is recommended to give the folio a clean look. Print rate on folio only when rate is posted is used when you do not want the guest to see the rate, like for Expedia or other prepaid guests, but still need to print an incidental folio. When checked, the rate will print on a subfolio only if room revenue has been posted to that subfolio. Check Hide Initials and Date Time Stamp if you do not want this information printed on your folios. Checking Default to City Ledger Invoice when printing Direct Bill will automatically print the folio as a City Ledger invoice when a Direct Bill account is attached to the folio. There are 3 options for printing the tax summary detail. Do Not Show Tax Summary Detail will not print the tax summary on the folio. Show Total, then Summarize Taxes will show the total of taxable sales, then a total for each tax type. Most properties will use this setting. Summarize Charges by Tax Type will show each tax percentage category and then the total net sale for that category. Then print the total taxable sales followed by the total taxes. Roll-Up is where you configure how you would like your packages to print on the detail folio. Entire Roll-Up with Taxes and Daily Roll-Up with Taxes will print a single-line entry for the entire package, including taxes for the entire stay or each package charge per day respectively. Entire Roll-Up Without Taxes prints a single-line entry showing the total revenue charges for the package, and then single lines for each tax for the entire stay. Daily Roll-Up does the same thing, but on a daily basis. Neither of the Without Taxes options will work if the detail folio is set to Tax Roll-Up Inclusive VAT GST. Checking Print Deposits, Packages, and then All Other will print the guest transactions in that order, rather than in transaction date order. Include Transfers in Tax Summary will include any taxes for charges rerouted to a specific folio in the tax summary information. Unchecked, only the taxes for the charges on the receiving folio are included in the summary. Hide Actual Tax Percentage in Summaries will prevent the tax percentage from the account code from printing in the tax summary section of the folio. Enter a message to be printed at the bottom of your folios in the Folio Message section. Click Customize Folio Layout for more advanced options for your folio setup. The Fonts and Layout tab allow you to set a theme and set the fonts for the property name and address on the folios. Items in the Other Options section can further customize what is printed on the folio. The Special Text Option tab lets you add a field from the Guest Property screen to the folio and also print your tax information. roomMaster 2000 also allows you to print a unique sequential serial number at the bottom of each folio. Enter a label for the sequential number in the serial statement field. The Always Hide Rate header box for all folios will prevent the guest rate from ever being printed on the folio. Add a logo or image to your folio on the Logo Image tab. Each of these tabs is reviewed in detail in the online help text. In this video tutorial, we have reviewed how to input your rooms and rate information. Setting up new account codes and inputting tax amounts were explained, as well as establishing a history of your guests, tracking who they are and how they make their reservations. Input all your rooms and rates and you will be ready to open your doors. To fully realize your investment's potential, have an Inquest software trainer come to your site with a customized training plan for your property and employees. Contact your local Inquest software representative for all the details. And once again, thank you for choosing roomMaster 2000 as your property management solution.